Kathy and I have been traveling in our little RV down through Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, and we're headed back home now over the last 2.5 weeks. We've seen many beautiful sights along the way and have had a grand time. I've also learned many valuable spiritual lessons. And one of them is I've learned about a new law of God, a law which I call God's law of rectification. And by rectification, I'm talking about a law at work that fixes wrong, that makes wrong right. Oftentimes in the human experience, we have troubles and things work out, and sometimes they work out beautifully. And we might think, oh, that was a coincidence, or oh, wow, I was lucky. It worked out so well. But when you have several experiences right in a row where everything works out beautifully, you stop and you start to think maybe there's something more going on here than coincidence or luck. And that's what happened to us the first 3 days of this trip. We had 4 experiences where things went wrong, and they were quickly resolved, though, in a beautiful way and often an unexpected way. And after all 4 of them happened, I thought, there's something more going on here than coincidence or luck. I think there's a law of God at work here causing these good outcomes. And eventually I coined it God's law of rectification, that God's love is always at work making wrong right for us. And as we pray and listen, that law takes effect and we see beautiful results from it. Just in brief, what happened was the first incident we had, which was not any small incident, when we started out the first morning of our trip, about 80, 90 miles into the trip, we're headed out into the wilderness. Our transmission fails and the truck will not go any further. It just stalls right there on the side of the highway. We can't do anything. I get out, oil's pouring out of the transmission. It looked like a disaster. We prayed about it, we listened, and eventually decided to try to start the truck up again, see if it'd run, and it would. But we didn't know how long we were going to be able to go. But as it turned out, there was a transmission shop right across the road. I kid you not, a transmission shop right across the road. We got off the highway, went over there. He had us all fixed up in 3 hours, and off we ran. What happened was I had to pick up service before we went on this trip, but whoever serviced it put too much oil in the transmission, and it caused it to go haywire. And the repairman said, you would have a disaster on your hands if you tried to go any further than this. Of course, we couldn't. And but it was all fixed in 3 hours, and off we went, and we've had no trouble since. But to stop right next to a transmission shop, that's not luck. That's not coincidence. Something higher was at work there in our life. I couldn't help but believe. The second thing that happened, though, was that night when we parked at our camp, the refrigerator went on the blitz. All the blue lights started blinking and it wasn't working and it wasn't cooling. And we did everything and anything we could think of to fix it. Nothing was working. It looked like we were going to have no refrigerator for the whole trip. Well, when we went to bed, I prayed about it and I thought, I just need to go higher here. Divine mind is all. We learned this in Christian Science. All is mind. Everything is mind's idea. And I thought, okay, quit thinking of your refrigerator as a material thing with a mechanical problem. It's divine mind that meets all of your needs. The mechanics of divine mind are governed by the intelligence of divine mind. And divine mind causes all of its ideas to work intelligently and properly. Mind is the master mechanic that knows how to keep all of its ideas running properly. There's no such thing as a malfunctioning refrigerator in the mind of God. And we are living and moving in the mind of God here. So everything's okay and all right. Just let it go. You're going to wake up in the morning and go on with your trip and everything will be fine. Found my peace, let it go, went to bed. Get up in the morning, the refrigerator's fixed. No more blinking blue lights. They're doing everything the way they're supposed to. The refrigerator's cooling. We have had no problems with that refrigerator ever since. Was that a coincidence? I don't think so. The third thing that happens is when I get up that morning and eventually go outside, I have a flat tire on my pickup. Oh my gosh. And we're way up at Cedar Breaks for 45 minutes from any town. And I had a spare tire, I could fix it, but it'd be a big job. And I didn't really look forward to doing that. And so I just listened and prayed. And what do I do next, God? And I remember that Kathy had a little air pump packed somewhere deep in our storage that could be hooked to my battery. And I could pump up the tire. So I pumped it up and it seemed to hold its inflation there. So I decided maybe I could find a place to go and get it fixed. But I had no idea where to go and we're way out nowhere. And I drive out the park wondering what to do. And I'm just listening and following God's guidance as it comes. And I passed two people walking along. I stop, I roll down my window, and there are two rangers. And I say, hey, where do you get a tire fixed around here? And they told me exactly what to do and where to go. 45 minutes away, they told me the very tire store to go right to. And so I picked up Kathy, and the little voice said, your tire is going to be okay. Just get down there. So we made it all the way down there. They had our tire fixed in 15 minutes, no charge. Off we went. There was a big bolt this big that we had driven over and had punctured the tire. All fixed, fine. Beautifully resolved in a short period of time. And then that evening, we're out on this long hike. The wind's blowing like crazy. It's like 20, 30-mile-an-hour gusts of wind, but it's a beautiful hike around the rim of this canyon. And at one point, I stopped to do a vlog, just like I'm doing now. And when I pack up, I didn't realize it, but one of the handles on my tripod fell off. And we left a knee pad behind that Kathy uses often to sit on when she's running the camera. But anyway, I don't discover it till another hour or two later when we're, a mile down the canyon. And these parts are gone. And I thought, oh man, they're lost now. Where are they? Who knows? And this wind blowing around. But I just thought, nothing's lost in mind. Mind keeps every idea in its right place, and just trust that you have everything you need all the time. You're still whole and complete. Everything's okay. And so we're hiking back up the canyon and headed back to the visitor center where the trucks park. And I walk out to where I did that vlog, and there's the pad sitting right there on the ground where I left it. I couldn't believe it. And I walk a little further, and there's the little black knob right on the ground. Right where it had fallen off. I pick it up, off we go, everything's fine. And anyway, 4 incidences right in a row there over about 2 or 3 days. Troubles that could have been, oh my gosh, do we have to deal with this? Beautifully resolved. And as I thought about it later, I thought there's something higher going on here. This isn't coincidence or luck. This is God's law of rectification at work. And I'm going to think about that law more, how when things go wrong, you're not having to figure it out all by yourself. There is a higher power at work in your life that is available to make that wrong right. And that one all-knowing mind of God always has an answer, always has a solution, and knows exactly what to do to bring about the best result. God's law of rectification is at work on your behalf as well.